Starting is objectively so fucking simple. Why do we even do this? It's literally just sitting down and starting to work and using your mind to get some work done. Why does it still feel like we don't want to start? Even when it's your passion. I think people saying that some people are just lazy is just glossing over the real reason we are sabotaging ourselves. It's just a convenient fiction. Deep down, everybody is doing their best, and if you can't seem to start, there is some reason. And in this video, I will share my story on how this fucking lesson is repeating itself over and over and over and over again, and I had to fucking make a video because I know a lot of you are dealing with this shit. Like, it's my dream to fully live off my creative explorations, analytics, and my stories that I tell right here. But still, it often feels so hard to just sit down and work on a video. And to really get to the bottom of this, I need to go back to the last time I had like huge episodes of this procrastination.
I have so much shit to give to the world and I can't seem to fucking get it out there.
What is it that self-sabotages us into inaction? If I just skip to the conclusion, it boils down to that we have convinced ourselves somewhere in the past that it's better for us to just stay mad, desperate, and frustrated than it is to fulfill our creative dreams. And I know this sounds weird, but self-sabotage is rarely rational, right? So I will get to the bottom of this in this video. So in my own YouTube journey, I have been in these fucking cycles of trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing. These many cycles of desperation, just asking myself, why can't I move forward? Why? You know? And I felt so alone in this because I've always had such a huge ambition, but I just couldn't get myself to work on it like in the same extent as my ambition was. And I could never figure out why I wasn't able to get myself to work. It turns out the obsession of figuring it out was just one example of how we sabotage ourselves. And this basically is summarized best in that we find ways to put ourselves in an energy that is not conducive to highly productive work. It has to do with the energy that we put ourselves in for whatever reason, right? Turns out that before the making of this video, and you probably can feel it in my voice, I've been so fucking frustrated today. And I felt like I wanted to make this video in this energy. So the energy that you're in, what is that exactly? Some people call it a vibe. I just call it an emotional state, right? That is tangible. You have this chart of emotions that you can be in, and it feels a little bit more solid, right? So what state are we in when we are procrastinating? Right? That is important. We feel frustrated, sad, mad at ourselves, right? We feel desperate, like that you're saying stuff and not following it up with actions. All these emotions are lower emotional states. And the surprising thing about this is that I always thought that sometimes it's just better to motivate yourself with these negative emotions, right? And this is a pattern that I learned from a young age. Like, sometimes it's better to just kick yourself forward, so to speak. But the more I grow up and become an adult, I realized that this is holding me back more than moving me forward. And this is just a lesson that keeps coming back. My actions and my experience just keeps on telling me that motivating yourself with negative emotion will only lead you to very short-term bursts of action. And it will take so much longer to recover from this negative emotion that in the long run, it's not productive at all. When I am in these lower level emotions, I become so lethargic and sad. And you can imagine that if you're in that state, you are not in a state to be productive and like penetrate the world, right? Like you feel defeated and frustrated. This takes so much energy. And the whole thing to get out of this is figure out how to get your energy right, get your emotional state in a positive place so that you can create from positive emotion, excitement about the thing that you want to do, right? And in the case of just before this video, there were a few factors that contributed and a way how I got through this, because I'm now filming, so something worked, right? So I will talk you through what I did and give you the step-by-step what I think is applicable to any form of procrastination, or at least my form of procrastination. So I'll talk you through that right now, what I did. So I've been working on this dream of becoming a YouTuber for almost 10 years now. Like I started uploading in 2015. Like obviously I did a lot of stuff in between, but it's about this cycle of trying and failing and trying and failing again. I'm just having a bad day. It got 17 views. Obviously, you learn stuff and you become better at telling stories, but it's hard to just be disappointed with views and to get attached to a view count and whatever. That you become scared of being disappointed again. And if you learn something new that you want to implement in the video and you really felt like that was a giant missing piece, it gets your hopes up. It gets your hopes up in the sense that this could be the last missing piece, right? And the thought of being disappointed again is so hard to bear that I prevent myself from implementing this new thing because I'm afraid that I will be disappointed again. And it sounds so fucking weird, but yeah, that was the thing that was going on. But the way I identified that was by first creating this neutral emotional state, because from that emotional state you're not constantly gonna think about stories, why this is like. Okay, we have to move back a second. If you are in a negative emotional state and you start thinking about all the things that might have caused you to be in this negative emotional state, all the reasons are going to generate more negative emotion. So whenever you're analyzing what's going wrong at the moment, you want to have a perspective on that is neutral. And if you're doing it by yourself, you can you need to be in a neutral emotional state before you start exploring the reason why you got these negative feelings in the first place, right? So what I did was I decided to feel this desperation, this frustration, this annoyance. And I just started, I just closed my eyes and I just felt where stuff was feeling negative. And I just focused on that feeling. And like the key to feeling emotions is just to focus on them and just wait. Don't try to think about stories, why that is the case. Just feel the emotion by zooming in on them and sitting with it. Hold yourself in that emotion and focus on it. When your mind drifts off, just try to focus again on the feeling. And I did this until I came back to a neutral place again. And then I talked to a friend, or basically I just vented. And this way I just got around to the reason why. But you have to do that from a neutral emotional state. Then I identified the reason that I was just afraid to disappoint myself again. And realized that the logical thing to do is to be courageous, and also that it's okay for now because I identified the reason, and that is progress too. But from there, I was in a neutral emotion and I started to feel excited about sharing this lesson, that I just learned again. So yeah, here I am, right? And I'm feeling excited, and that's just because I first feel, then identify, and then let that is the next step. Let the emotions bubble up naturally. Let the creative inspiration bubble up naturally. Because the only thing that we do with creativity is we block it by distraction, by negative emotion, by our mental chattiness, you know? The key is to put yourself in a state that resonates with someone that does certain things, right? How could I ever expect myself to be super productive in a state that feels defeated and whatever, you know? That is just not logical. So we have to focus on the energy first. And it's so easy to just think, yeah, after I went to the gym and I ran 5 miles, then I can be happy. But the realization when that comes when you've ran those 5 miles is that it's just permission not to feel bad. So you always stay below neutral if you think like that. If you think like, I just have to show up to the gym so I can feel like a winner. And because if I just show up, I know that I will do stuff just because like going back is like fighting the flow. And the emotional state that you feel like, yes, fuck yes, I went to the gym, or I started this creative project, I sat down for 5 minutes, you know, that will get you in the winner's emotional state, and winners win, right? The emotional state of a winner, of someone who goes after their dream, is always starting with the right energy. Another reason that I wanted to stay in this negativity, because you would think that you wanted to leave this negativity as quickly as possible. But what I found out is that I am so familiar and I'm so comfortable in that desperation state, in that negative emotion, that I know how to navigate being in such a place emotionally, that it feels safe. And positive emotion, a lot of positive emotion, feels in a way dangerous to me, because I'm not that familiar with being in such an emotional state. Another comment! Ah! Another comment! Another comment. Great video, really enjoyed. Ah! Like when my Prince video went viral, for me, like it was 34k views. It was like viral for me. All these positive comments generated so much excitement and positive emotion that I just didn't know what to do with it. And I couldn't sleep or not well. And it just derailed me. So just the unfamiliarity and the ungroundedness that comes with feeling positive emotion and actually winning, subconsciously I'm blocking that by distracting myself and staying in this negative emotion, because I know what that is. I've been in that emotion for so much of my life that I just know how to deal with that. So that kind of makes me scared to succeed in a way too. Another thing that like is very convenient is trying to point fingers. Like right now I'm in the process of lowering my ADHD medication. Right now I'm not on it. Go me. And I was just pointing fingers to the fact that, yeah, now with my ADHD medication, I can't focus, and starting is more difficult because ADHD medication definitely makes it easier to start. And I need to acknowledge that, and need to acknowledge that it's more difficult for me right now, and that's okay. I will feel a little more often in this case. But also, I can't attribute that to the reason why I'm not starting. Like if everything was in line but I couldn't focus, and I wanted to do what I want to do, the actions that are in line with my passion and making videos and whatever, then I would do that anyway, with or without ADHD medication. I'm doing it right now. There was more there, right? But it's very simple to just point fingers and just be in that victim mode, right? We have to take responsibility. we can do things to get us in a better emotional state. So one more time for the people in the back. The 4 steps of going from procrastination to actually starting. Step 1, remove all the distractions to open up the space to feel the emotions that are there. Feel all the uncomfortable emotions until you're back to neutral again, without creating stories about why it's happening and blah blah blah, because those will cycle back, create more negative emotion, create more anxious thoughts, create more negative emotion, and that will just keep on going. So feel the emotion without creating the stories. When you're back to neutral, you go to step 3. So step 3 is trying to analyze and figure out why you felt desperate, sad, or frustrated in the first place, and try to figure out the underlying reason. You can do this by talking to a friend, journaling, meditating, whatever it is that you do that you use to analyze patterns, right? But it's important to do that from the neutral emotional state. And then you're almost done. Then you're at step 4. When you found out why you did that, why you just kept yourself in this distraction mode and procrastination mode, is to, and you're neutral, then it's just step 4 is staying in a distraction-free space until you feel the excitement to do something again. And this basically looks like you just laying on your bed and just staring at the ceiling until you get so bored that doing something feels way more exciting than laying on your bed. And that's it. It's just that these fucking TikTok videos and YouTube is a big one for me, obviously, that these distractions are just tapping away also dopamine, and you need dopamine to do stuff, right? These distractions are very important. Just be bored a little and then excitement will come up. This lesson has come back so many times, and I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you in the next video. Stay creative.